Hello and welcome to Equine Voices. My name is Ronnie and I'm your host for today's podcast interview with the lovely Tomas Teskey. So I shall shortly bring him in and he can introduce himself. So Tomas is a holistic vet from Arizona. His website is Insight to Equus. I'm reading it off my bit of paper here. And he specializes in large animals and especially focuses on horses. Now, we've just been having a bit of technical problem with the sound, so I'm praying that everything is okay. So if you can hear feedback, the viewers, because I'm getting the feedback, but Thomas isn't. If you can hear feedback, please let us know, because I want you to hear what he has to say in the conversation. And if we have to reschedule, we will do, but fingers crossed. So fingers crossed, if you can hear feedback when we both come on, because Thomas is doing this on his mobile phone and he's in Hungary at the minute. So let's see how we go. I shall bring Thomas in now and fingers crossed. Okay, here we go. Hi, Thomas. So here we go. Let's hope this goes okay. I'm still hearing feedback, so as long as the viewers aren't, the listeners, that's fine. I'll just put up with the hammer going off in my head in a minute.
Yeah, that's not good, but maybe it sounds okay for everybody else.
Off you go. Introduce yourself.
Wow, what to say? I've been a veterinarian for longer than I realized. It's been 28 years ago that I graduated from Colorado State University and went right back to Arizona and started practicing on cows. I wanted to work on cows, but unfortunately, the cattle market was not good, so I started working on horses, and I found out, hey, that's pretty fun too. So uh, now I specialize in holistic and preventative health issues in horses and herds of horses, and quite happy doing that now.
So I'm just sorry to interrupt you, Thomas. I'm just reading the comments. So you may be able to see the comments, but you may not. Don't worry about it because you're only on your phone, so it might be difficult. So they can hear some crackling, but they're just saying you're a little bit quiet. So we'll keep going. We'll keep going. So I do apologise to Thomas and I apologise to the listeners. So carry on with what you was talking about.
Okay.
So just bear with us, audience.
So 5 years after my graduation from veterinary school, I started looking at things a little bit differently. I talk about this a little bit in my book because it's a interesting story. But what was happening, I was meeting some people and I was working on some horses that were challenging and, you know, really gripping my heartstrings basically about, what am I missing? Why do these horses keep coming back with some of these same problems? And I even called up some of my old professors and tried to figure out if I was doing everything right. And it sounded like I was doing pretty good. And they let me know that, well, sometimes we just we can't fix them all. But I was stubborn enough and uh, driven enough that I decided, I've I've got to come at some of these things a little bit differently, because what I learned and what I was doing was more of a cover up, like I was applying a band-aid to the situation, and I didn't want that. I wanted to really figure out if I could get these animals to heal from that lameness or that chronic colic or that respiratory problem or the allergy or whatever it was. And so I'm very happy that I went that route to try some basically find some foundational sorts of things to really focus on instead of just giving the injections or the pills or doing a surgery or something like that. I decided to change things up and really, pull back the layers and try to think about how to help these animals more foundationally. So that meant good hoof care and dental care and nutrition and uh, psychological health too, herd health, and it really did my heart a lot of good to approach things that way, and I I would never go back. It's been very rewarding, and certainly it's not in line with the instant gratification sorts of things that we get into sometimes, but that's okay. Uh, I tell people just give it some time, give me a chance with your horse for at least 3 or 4 months, and this will be good. You watch.
Did you find that difficult? Because I know it can be different to where you live in the States to the UK. Did you find that difficult to approach with your clients?
Well, to begin with, there was quite a few puzzled looks, and there was plenty of ridicule from some of my colleagues and uh, even other veterinarians in my area. But I had the advantage of working in a part of Arizona that was very underserved, meaning people were very happy to have any veterinarian come. And so that helped out. My learning curve was very, very steep. So I was learning lots of good stuff quite quickly. But I was also in the kind of situation that uh, people were just so darn happy that I would even show up at their place because it was 100% farm calls, ranch calls. I didn't have a clinic. I was working out of my truck and sometimes traveling up to 100 miles from my home. And so, for the most part, I found out that people were just very grateful that I would even show up. So, that really helped. And once a little bit of time went by and they saw the improvements and they could feel how invested I was, how important it was personally for me to do a good job, to check in with them, to call them up and say, how is Sally doing, or how is Bucko the mule doing? I was thinking about him, and that. So the public relations, the checking in with people, and just staying in gratitude for what I was able to decide to do. Uh, Maybe it was personality. Maybe it was a mix of stubbornness and whatever other flavors of Thomas came into the equation. But I'll tell you, I just I just couldn't keep doing it the old way because it wasn't working. It just didn't work to keep giving injections or giving pills. And I said, that's it. We got to figure out something different. So
I think your when you're doing things like that, your soul, your essence knows that there's another way, but you don't necessarily know what it is, but you just know there's something else that you can be doing. And I think that's half the. Are you okay? Are you getting attacked by mosquitoes? It's okay. It's all going up. I just want to check with the audience. Is it still okay? Are you able to catch this conversation? Can you hear? Because I don't want to spoil this for anybody. So just can you let me know if you can hear and you're still sticking with this, guys? I'm just waiting for a comment while Thomas sprays his mosquito spray. Okay, nobody's said anything yet. So okay, we'll carry on. So when you talked about okay, so yes, it is crackly, but you can hear. Not so crackling. Okay, so I can only apologise. As I mentioned earlier, Thomas is on his mobile, and he's outside. So there's a bit of feedback from when I'm speaking that's going into Thomas, and Thomas is a little bit crackly. But I can't do anything about it. So if you want us to continue, we'll continue because I don't want to spoil this. And Thomas has gone out his way to join me tonight. Okay, we'll carry on. If it gets really bad, what we're going to do is reschedule this because I've tried to think of another way to do this while he's here, but this is going out on different platforms, so I'm not sure I can change anything yet. So we'll carry on. So once again, I do apologise. So Thomas, you was talking about herd health. Can you explain a little bit more of what that is to you?
So what I've come to realize is that there's something more than magical about helping horses heal from whatever it is that they need help with. And there's just actually very few ingredients. They're critical ingredients. There's just a few of them. And I talk about each one of them in more depth in my book. But what's important to realize is that if you're missing if you have a recipe for your favorite thing and it only has 5 ingredients in it, if you leave one ingredient out, it's going to be a big deal. It's not going to taste right. It's not going to work. It's not going to turn out. So when it comes to herd health and helping horses heal, because horses are the ones that are doing the healing. I'm not the healer. I try to convince people with horses to provide what their horses need to heal themselves. And the herd health perspective is that they need each other. This is something more difficult for humans to wrap their heart and mind around, but you can take this and put it in the bank and put it in your heart, because I'm telling you, when it comes to the fullest and most honest amount of healing possible, mandatory that horses have other horses with them. They are hardwired in a collective. So the herd, it's a we. Horses don't think about me or I so much. It's like, hey guys, what are we doing? Where are we going? Did you guys see that over there? Hey guys, let's go here. It's all as a collective. And once you feel into that, you'll not keep horses alone, and you'll not expect horses to do the best job of healing unless they have some friends with them to do what? Well, it's psychological health. It's reducing stress from the environment that you may or may not realize is there. It's collective movement, and it's quality of movement. Very important. So I found out that horses oftentimes, just with these healthy distractions from friends, they don't think about their sore foot or their sore belly or their other issues going on when there's so much going on around them with their friends, with habitat that somebody has made that has healthy distractions and places to move and explore. And there's always something to eat, always, even if it's just some pieces of straw. Imagine you have an overweight horse. It's always important to uh, keep something out there, even if it's just the highest fiber, lowest sugar stuff. So that's more thinking as herd health. And so as we go along, I hope you can get a sense of how important that is. I simply will not keep a horse alone by themselves anymore, and I will not confine a horse, even if they had a devastating injury. I don't think horses will run about and self-destruct. I think they're more likely to cause self-harm if they're confined in a stall, for example. So some of the beliefs and recommendations I have will really fly against traditional thinking, but not for no reason. I can always give you very good reasons from the horse's perspective, from their nature. I always ask the horse and their friends, "Hey guys, what do we need to do here? Let's figure out how we're gonna move around this, and who's gonna be with who, and hey, you guys don't be too mean to her." And sometimes I have to move certain horses around, but they always have friends with them. It sounds simple, but it's actually pretty difficult for so many people in the world to try that. And they will try to dismiss that as a notion, but I'll say, hey, don't dismiss it without even trying it. Okay? Because I'm telling you, it's beyond magical what can happen.
If you think about it, common sense, if you're not feeling well, unless you want to sleep all day and you go to bed, but if you're just feeling something's happened and you're able to stand and move about a little bit, you still want fresh air. You still want to be able to see things. If you were confined in a little box as a human, that would be quite damaging to your psychological. And it's even more so for a horse because they're used to not being. It's to be confined is not a natural state for an equine, for a horse. Are you okay, Thomas? Are you still okay to continue? Yeah, because I don't want you to get eaten alive just for the sake of my conversation with you. Okay. Right. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll continue, but I'm just checking in. So, guys, are you still okay for this conversation to go ahead? I'm just checking in again because. Okay. Right. We'll carry on. Okay. Yes, please. Yes, please. They're saying yes, please. So, Thomas, you take as long as you want because we can do this another time when you're back in the States. So you just do as much as you want because I don't want you to be uncomfortable.
Yeah,
So,
that as far as how the humans, we ourselves can relate to what I was saying, and it's even a level higher, or maybe several levels higher, that horses feel that, and they feel that down deep in their nervous system. We're actually much better at being alone than horses. So yes, we can relate, but if you want to really understand horses, you have to really spend time out there with them and watch and just be quiet. And what happens if you go out there and you just spend the time, what it feels like to me is that you start to get some answers, but you were not asking them any questions. Think about that. That some answers and information starts to come to you, but you were just out there being quiet and observing. You really weren't in an inquisitive state of mind. You weren't asking a bunch of questions, and yet some information starts to flow into you from what you're seeing and feeling with what the horses are doing collectively.
Yeah, I totally get that. It's yeah. So you're like a receiver and you can hear information. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I totally get that. Sorry, I'm trying to concentrate, and I'm also so somebody said it seems like the mic gets the sound. So what's happening is as I'm speaking, the sound is coming out of Thomas's phone and going back into his own speaker and coming back into the stream. And there's a bit of crackling because of where Thomas is as well. So I do apologise because there's quite a few people here wanting to hear your conversation. So I think what we'll do is, I know you've done a trip to. We're definitely going to. If Thomas, please forgive me, but we're definitely going to do this again because I can already feel there's a big conversation there, and it's something that my listeners and myself would like to hear more about. I know you've been to the UK. You've just done. It's the second time you've been to the UK, and you came to Nottinghamshire. So just go into a little bit of details of what you was doing there.
Well, imagine the Arizona cowboy that shows up in England, and yeah, I had to make fun of myself a little bit with them because I didn't want them to feel like they couldn't let down their guard with me, or I didn't want them to feel like I was this professional that was not approachable. So I find myself just trying to really be as natural as I can, and thankfully it was my second trip to see these folks in Nottingham, and what a great bunch of mostly women and a couple of guys this time. That was good, but most of my clinics are with women that are getting back into horses. They're trimming. They're amazing trimmers. Some of them are interested in the dental work, the teeth work. A lot of body workers, massage and chiropractic, and all sorts of energy work with horses. And so it really feels like a meeting of the minds and hearts. And what ends up happening is we amplify what it is we're trying to do with the horses, and that's just bring more attention to their welfare and how worthwhile it is to have more consideration for their well-being, honoring their herd health, trying to get out of this rut of perform, or oh, I've got a tight schedule this weekend. I got to be at the show, or I have to make the race, or we have to do this or that. Horses don't wear watches; they don't watch the clock, and yet I'm always trying to get people to feel into what it would be like to have more of a partnership instead of a slave. Just let's just put it out there, okay? Because traditionally, what we've been doing is more of a master and slave type relationship, because that's what it used to be. Horses were the transportation. They were the tractors. They moved us across this planet at the speed of the horse. And now that that's not the case anymore, I think it's high time that we feel into this potential for partnership. And the reason why is because everybody wins. People that find themselves in more of a controlling relationship knows what this feels like. And horses put up with it and they feel that. And I will also tell you that we're missing out on a huge amount of joy and amazing feedback that you could get if you would just invite that horse in as more of a partner, as a willing, curious partner in that exchange. And some of this you have to feel. Some of this I can teach you just by showing you how I get around the horse or telling you a story about some horses. But I hope that makes a little bit of sense as to where we are and why we're looking at this in this way. If people that find this path end up in such a better frame of heart and mind, and that's what it's all about. We're trying to do better and be happier, and we can't do better if we don't know better. So it's all about education and getting people to see some of the things with the horse's feet and teeth and their body, so they can recognize what's happening, and then they can do something about it, or they can ask an intelligent question of their veterinarian or trainer or farrier or trimmer. And what's happening right now is that we are increasing the demand for competent help, because so many equine professionals, colleagues of mine, not all of them, but many, are they're sticking to their guns. They're sticking to their railroad tracks of what they learned, what they know, what they want to do, and it's inadequate. It's absolutely inadequate for what we want to accomplish. And if they're not going to lead the way, if the animal health professionals are not going to step forward like myself and lead the way, then what I'm left with, and what many of us are left with, is to increase the demand for more competence on their part, and not with a snarky attitude, not with a condescending way of asking them questions, but saying like, "Hey, Dr. So-and-so, I was at a clinic and I heard about this, and I was really interested in getting your opinion about that. What do you think about that?" There's a way to engage them. I mean, not a guarantee with anybody, but there is a way to improve your chances with anybody to engage them. Spark their curiosity, ask a question. The human ego doesn't often like to be told what to do, or be ridiculed for doing something, or shamed. You know what that feels like. It's much better to find your way in, find a crack somewhere, and then ask a question. And so that's my approach on the human psychological side of things with some of my colleagues. And I know in the long run that they're going to be like, hey, that's about the 27th time I've had somebody ask me that question about keeping a horse barefoot. Maybe I ought to learn something about that. Okay? So yes, do that. You need to do that.
Yeah, it's about not you don't want to offend anybody, because as you said, it's how they've been taught, and you think you have to do things a certain ways, and sometimes you get set in your ways, and then when something new comes along, they almost have to digest it, or you plant a seed there, but you do it in a way that they're not going to close the door on you. They're not going to shut down. They're going to listen, or even if it's quietly listening but not saying anything. And then the evidence that comes along will show them there's a different way. And the old school system takes it takes courage to say what you do. but it's needed. It's very much needed. And as you said earlier, it's like if you baked a cake and you missed one ingredient, it might look similar to the other cake, but when you taste it, it's not the same at all. And sometimes it's the unseen things as well as the seen things. Yeah, it's I'm really fascinated, and I so want to dive deeper into our conversation, but I am struggling, Thomas. But I'll hang in there, guys. So we'll go a little bit longer, but I think what we'll do, if that's okay with you, is reschedule this. I mean, I could go on to Facebook and see if we could connect there after this live for a little while if you want to. But if that doesn't happen, because I do want to get this out to a bigger audience, which will be on the audio, and that's when I need the quality. So for the people that are still here, because there's quite a few people here, again, apologise, can't do anything about this. We'll carry on for a little bit longer, and then I think we'll close down and we'll try and get together on my Facebook page. And if that doesn't happen, either way, we'll do this again. So stick with us, guys, and thank you for being here. So I was introduced to you, Thomas, by Michelle from Michelle and Scout. So they've been a guest quite a few times on my podcast, and I absolutely love them, and I love this story. And it was Michelle that says you need to get Thomas on because he'll be exactly what you need. He's a great guest. So I contacted you a little while ago, but I think it was one of her horses. So forgive me if I'm mistaken about this because there was a few people that she'd seen. I think it was Joker that needed his teeth looked at. Was that you?
I remember Joker.
Yeah, and he wouldn't normally go to men, but he more or less, Michelle said he more or less walked up to you and said, please do my teeth.
Yeah, it's on the one hand it's amazing. On the other hand, it's like not amazing to me at all anymore when it comes to helping horses just feel better in their whole body when it comes to balance in their mouth and their feet. And it's if you look at my Facebook page or read through my book, you're going to be able to take a look at your horse's incisors, their front teeth, and you're going to be able to tell whether or not there's something that may need to be done. And that's pretty powerful. And then your next challenge will be to find somebody who is again, competent to help with that. And we're getting there, slowly but surely. We're drawing attention to how horses balance off of their balance of their jaw and their chewing teeth, and then their temporomandibular joint on through their poll and down their neck and into their body. Everything's connected. Imagine that. And so it's really rewarding, and yeah, we get to help horses with regularity anymore, and people know what to watch for, and that's really cool too.
Yeah, it's about making them more aware and pointing something out that you wouldn't necessarily think about that, but when somebody like yourself explains it in more details, you think, oh yeah, okay, I understand that, even in the most simplest terms, which more people are. There are more people that work with horses that are realizing that it's not just do that and everything's okay, because you might do that thing, but that has to wait to be adjusted. That has to find its own balance. And you do the teeth and you do the feet. So and sometimes you go in the whole circle and you go back again because it's all self-regulating itself. Like you said, the horses and the body knows what to do. You're a facilitator and you're doing things to enable the animal to heal itself. And it can take time, and not everybody wants time or has the time, if I'm being kind, because they have things that they need to do, and if they're not their horses, they have to perform, and they have jobs to do. So it's not always that easy, but there's always something you can do to improve it. But if you want the bigger picture and the longevity, you have to look at all aspects. Lots of people are talking about your book. So I'll put a link to that on as well, because yeah, there's lots of people mentioning your book. You probably won't be able to see these comments, will you, because you're on your phone? Or can you see them?
No, I can't see the comments.
No, yeah, there's lots of people. You will be able to see the comments after we finish this live on they'll be on there for you to comment and reply to. Yeah, there's lots of people. I think we should just have a talk about something that you want to talk about now, and then I think we're going to call this a close, because I'm really struggling, and I want people to hear, and I want to delve deeper. So I'm sort of just scratching the surface here. Is that okay with you, Thomas? Yeah.
Let me leave you guys with something before we jump over to Facebook or reschedule for later, and that is that I like what you were saying about giving things time, and I want to let you know that you have support. Um, I get emails all the time. I get people sending me pictures, and I respond to all of them eventually. You know, it's not to the point where I can't offer at least something, or provide a link, or provide some information. So that's one thing, to have support, to feel like you're not alone. Maybe what this live stream is for is just for you to actually hear some words out of the mouth of a veterinarian, an animal health professional, that would support you in your heartfelt, driven way to help out your animals. And like I said, there's more coming. I know it's not as many as we would like, but we have to start somewhere, and we're starting with foundational stuff. So we're not going to micromanage our horses. I'll leave you with this: make sure you're paying attention to their feet, their teeth, their nutrition, the fact that they have to have friends with them, and they have space to move. That's 5 things. Do that just foundationally, and watch the magic happen. It's it really is that simple. And then sometimes we need other stuff to help ourselves or our horses get out of a rut, right? Totally. Anything, anything to help get out of a rut. But then we got to just get them moving and get them with their friends and go, so that it doesn't keep happening over and over again. So that's what I want to leave you with, is to pay attention to the foundational stuff and try to get away from so much micromanagement. You can do it.
That was lovely. Thank you, Thomas. That was perfect. Absolutely perfect. Yeah, absolutely perfect. So if you'd just like to say bye to your viewers that have come along, I'm so grateful to the ones that have come. So if you'd just like to say a quick bye, and we'll try and do this on Facebook, but it might not happen. So we'll try. So we'll see. So do you want to say bye, Thomas? Okay, I'll just pop you out. But if you hang in the studio, so just wait there. Okay, just wait where you are. Oh, bless him, bless him. He was getting eaten alive by mosquitoes. He was really trying. Oh, do you know what? This is live, and it's live, and this happens sometimes. I don't think I've had it quite this way, but doing it on your phone has its limitations. So for the people that joined, thank you so much for attending. Thank you so much on behalf of Thomas and myself for coming. We're going to see if I can do this on Facebook. I don't know if I can, to bring him in, and we'll have a quick little chat, but we will do this again when he's back in the States. Isn't it funny? It works better in the States. But I think it's the phone, and he's catching my voice going back into his mic as it's coming out his phone. Anyway, that's enough technical jargon. I'm going to say bye and hopefully see you a little while. So if anybody can go on to my Facebook, Equine Voices UK, and I will try, if it goes ahead, I'll try and share it to Thomas's Facebook, or he can share it. And if not, don't worry, we will reschedule this for another time. So I hope you're not too disappointed. As I said, it's live, and that's life. What can you do? You just have to smile and keep on going. That's the song, isn't it? Anyway, take care, and hopefully see you in 10 minutes. Okay. Fingers crossed, but if not, we will see you soon. Take care. Bye. Thank you.